3, 2, 1. I'm good to hear a countdown whenever you're ready.
Alrighty. This game's one of those games where time starts when we gain control, so I'll do a proper countdown when we're about ready.
Aye.
So people on stream are going to see the game start before the timer does. That's normal. Bonk opens up with this idle animation that we don't time because it's stupid. Alright, 3, 2, 1, go.
It was a little early. Good luck.
Alright. Thank you very much. This is Super Bonk. This is my first time really trying to explain this coherently for people who haven't seen it. So, a lot of different things about it. Candy changes your size. Meat is your power-ups. Every form of Bonk has a different properties. Right now we're either Kronk or Fester Bonk. I can't remember the name. I mix them up all the time. But when he slams his head on the ground, it freezes enemies in his place. You can also shoot an arrow. He also does slightly more damage and all that. In this first stage, we like to take this underwater route just because it's faster. Every time we get our third power-up, we get invincibility, which gives us a speed boost. And a lot of this is about good, well, just good movement, I guess, would be the way to put it. The more your head is facing down, the faster you travel around. If you gotta go down, put your face down too. There's a little optimization that UW9er found is not grabbing any candy that changes size during this part, or in this part in general. Just save some frames. Every power-up doesn't actually last forever, it slowly times out, so we've just reverted back to our second form here. And it's very important that you get to certain places or get things done before you transform sometimes. Because you'll either want the extra damage for bosses, or you'll want the invincibility for more movement speed. I actually have my time slit still open on my end, so I can encourage myself not to play poorly. So again, despite how long it looks like our transformation takes, it's usually beneficial to grab it, just for the movement speed alone. Again, we're going to dodge the candy here because we don't want to change size. Just waste precious frames. Here we are on our first boss. His name is Moonbeak. I actually messed up a bit there. Usually you want to just bounce off his head, but I'm not used to running the game at 30 frames per second. Because I use OBS as my preview window for my game, like my console games most of the time. Just for simplicity's sake. I don't have to awkwardly stare off into the distance and not be able to talk into my mic. Oh yeah, most of the bosses in this game you can kill in seconds. They're not a big deal. Here we are in the fetish zone. Got a lot of big dinos. You leggy or very long. I guess one thing to point out too is there's not really a huge difference between the English version and the Japanese version of this game. One was just cheaper than the other buy on eBay for me. But as far as like cutscenes and stuff like that, it's not really, doesn't matter which one you do. There's not much to say about those mazes. The patterns and stuff never change. So as soon as you figure it out once, that's just all you gotta worry about. There's really not a whole lot of RNG at all in this game. Gotta beat the crap out of this fly. Just for fun. Because he deserves it. Here we are in our first warp section. Very critical for the any percent category that you actually make sure you grab these. Otherwise you mess up everything. And now there's not much to do. There's a bunch of coins and stuff at the top of the screen. I usually keep them off screen for It doesn't slow the game down very much. It's like very minor. But hey, speed, man. I'm gonna move up after this third coin at the very top of the screen. There's just a safety heart I like to grab, because coming up in the next session is space, and controlling yourself in space is very, very awkward. Well, actually, you know what? While we're here, I doubt I'm gonna get like an amazing time or anything anyway. Some of these coins have random faces on them. Well, they all have faces on them, but different faces. Of what I can only assume is the developer's children. That's removed in the English version. Every child has a random effect every time. Normally I don't like grabbing them because there's a very off chance that I could lose a heart from doing it. That was the first crab warp. And we're coming up on what I like to call Run Killer, because if I miss this trick, I usually reset. But yeah, here in space, the controls are just so... the most floaty thing you can imagine, and it's really easy to mess up your momentum and fly around and bonk into things forever. So I'm gonna concentrate and see if I can get this for the marathon. I was doing it pretty consistently when I was practicing it, but... let's see. No, it's too low. Of course, it wouldn't be a marathon without that being a failure. Not too worried about it, but yeah, normally you can... you want to hit that? Thank you. Oh god, now I'm getting beat up by everything in here. So normally that's a reset for me, but it's not, you know, it doesn't actually ruin everything if you miss it. Unless you're going for world record, in which case, that's pretty much required. At least it got that nice damage boost right onto the platform. A little minor optimization. I don't know how well you guys can hear the music of the game right now, but very good soundtrack for the Super Nintendo. Alright, these are towers. With the speed boost you get from the third transformation, it makes it possible to seamlessly fly across the very top of these. That was pretty good. That was alright. You really do want to be careful not to fall in between the towers there, because you might accidentally grab a candy and be big, and you do not want to be big. These are crab squishers. They'll turn you into a crab if you get squished by them. I like to slow down and let them do their thing, because there's not really a consistent way to dodge them. And you have to go way out of your way to get a candy to transform back to normal if you mess up there. And that's slow. You don't want to go slow. Can't really hear it. My bad. My bad, fam. That's me trying to fix audio stuff on the fly. Alright, here is a mini-game, like, bonus game thing that we have no choice but to grab. And it's very difficult. You gotta remember this intense pattern. Oof, thank God. We got it. Man, that could have been problematic. Now here, again, it's very important you don't accidentally grab the yellow candy right in front of this tunnel here. And I'm a little bit paranoid because I'm not used to the frame rate. I actually had no idea OBS's preview changed depending on how you want the stream to be. It's not prepared. Most of the mazes here seem to be just getting the far left one. Somebody really liked left. This is the second crab warp. Again, not a hell of a lot going on. You can get these coins if you want to. Opportunity for one-up some points. At least we got some jamming tunes. Now, there's still some things in the run that I do need to worry about, that can make this take way longer than it needs to. Because like I said earlier, the most important thing in this run is getting transformations and power-ups and whatever, and making sure you keep them. Because if you get hit, it disappears. Oh, thank God I noticed that I was on the wrong one there. I would have missed that, and that would have messed everything up. Now in this section, I legit have nothing to do, so if anybody has any questions in the chat, I'll be paying attention there. If not, we can just enjoy this music. This is easily the best song in the game. Why am I a crab? I don't know how to answer that, because I don't think this was even a thing he became in other Bonk games. I think this is... I might be talking out of my ass, but I'm fairly certain it came in this game. Why is the crab perpetually spinning? How else could it fly? It ain't got no wings. But I could say that this game is really chill if you're like new to speedrunning or want to get into something speedrun-wise, because it has a lot of nice breaks. You don't have to worry about messing up in too many parts. It can be good to be a casual thing to get into if you're looking for something that's not super complicated, I guess. There's things about it that you can get better at. Optimize your movement, but otherwise it's not that demanding. In this section, I do want to be careful about getting hit when I grab my power-ups, because if I get hit after I grab one of my power-ups, right there, it's fine. I can't get a quick kill on a boss, and it'll make it take 10 times longer. But luckily we got it, no problem. Didn't get hit. There's an enemy coming up inside of here, who I also want to kill, because unlike a lot of enemies, he kind of just disappears after you get him off screen once. And I just want him out of the way because he grabs candy I need after I get out of here. Get in there. So for this boss, you normally have to hit his balls individually. Slowly turn the blue balls to red. But with Fist or Bonk or Kronk Bonk or whatever, his gimmick is when you slam the ground, it hits everything on screen. So it can make this boss die in seconds. Now we're gonna get a repeat. Gonna go fight Moonbeak again. This is your typical boss rush of most of these style games. But because we use so many warps, we don't see most of them until now. And by most I mean all. This is the only one we see ahead of time. And he's still pathetically easy. It's also something to note that in other Bonk games, Bonk typically saves the animals. And in this one, he just straight up murders them. They just blow up and die. They're too far gone. Can't get those robot parts off of them now. This is the moon boss, so naturally she's a rabbit. You can hit her just as that last jangling noise is going off. And you want to hit her square in the head, try to stick around the top, because that'll do the most damage. Just like that, she's done. We're gonna stay large for this next boss here. Because when we're large, we also do more damage than we normally would. And this guy's nice because in the boss rush, we're actually able to move before his intro's done, which allows us to get up to him early. And make it a hell of a lot easier to one-cycle him, which we're well on our way to do. I hope. Yeah, we're good. Now we're gonna go back up and be a little babu. Don't grab that candy. Because, I guess this is a thing I didn't really explain, I've just been doing it. When you're small, you can shoot out words that you can ride as a platform, but it also does damage to enemies. And it makes it really easy to hit this guy. Right in his stomach. Oh, also, yeah, normally I give a seizure warning for this boss because the sky flashes pretty rapidly, can be kind of aggressive. How many US dollars does this bonk cost? The North American version I've found costed normally around 60 or more dollars, and then the Japanese version I got for like 15. So, that's why I play this version. This is also the last boss of the rush. And he super dies. Blown into bits. Ain't never coming back. Bonk just does not care anymore. Just dealt with King Jewel so many times at this point. I don't even know how many games came up before this one. Maybe 3. Here's a cutscene always kind of equated to Mega Man X. It's because of the sound font and stuff. Makes this guy seem way cooler than he is, because look at how tiny he is. He's a little babu. Everybody's a little babu. So this is Drool's Tower. We're in the last chapter of the game. Now, normally the game wants you to become small and ride your words around a lot, but that's super slow. So we just stay medium-sized and do a lot of mashing and flipping and bouncing up walls. Grab this yellow flower here. I can kill that guy and get him out of my way. And allows us to skip a little section of the stage there by jumping up. We're gonna do another trick. Got it first try. If you get just the right elevation, you can skip another portion of the game. It can be kind of annoying to grab it. Not impossible. Timing doesn't have to be like super perfect, but it can... it can be annoying. Now, sometimes enemies in this area just don't spawn, and sometimes they do. This time they did. Game runs a little bit faster when these guys aren't around. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, that was almost cool. I could have said that it was planned, that I bounced off that bug to get up here without having to frickin' climb it like that, but nope. Nope. So once again, it may look super slow to keep grabbing this power-up and get that long-ass animation before we transform, but the speed boost we get from being invincible makes this part go by a lot faster. And luckily I don't have to worry about taking damage here too much, because there's another piece of meat I'm gonna grab. I'm gonna transform again. Another thing to note is some walls you can climb up just by sticking to them, and some you can't. Whoa. That was cooler than it needed to be. Now some people like to ask me why I don't just jump up to the door from there. There's invisible blocks in the way, so we have to ride our way over here first. Now normally you have to make a bridge too by hitting the blocks, and but if we stay tiny, by skipping over these candies that they put in our way, don't need to. We can ride on over. Speed that up a hell of a lot. And this part, if you take a lot of damage before you get here, it's very easy to die, and I learned that recently, that these spike walls do a hell of a lot more damage than I thought they did to regular Bonk. But if you have power-ups, you can do a damage boost there. Speed it up a little bit. Now be careful if you're in this form here, because if you bonk the ground, you can actually pause the cutscene for a bit. And just like that, we're very quickly approaching the end of the game. This is the, I don't know, I guess the first of 3 phases, I want to say? 3 or 4 phases? Kind of weird to count what the phases are. These claws are actually pretty decently easy to dodge. If you just do a little bit of a shuffle, just do a little dance, you should be able to manage not getting hit. Just tiny little baby movements. That's all it takes. To avoid the grabby claws. Go. Alright, coming up is a strat that was found by Dr. Jordo. We can actually let him shoot us here. And, I lost track of myself because I am disappearing at this frame rate, making it hard for me to see what the hell I'm doing. And now we're on a, set pattern. He does the same movements every time, and I'm pretty sure it's the same for every version too. Luckily for me, I have notes written down so I know what he's gonna do. Didn't start looking at it until late. Oh god. Run. Run. And luckily we're still going to do enough hits to him so that he dies going this way. And we're very, very, very quickly approaching time. We're going to hit it in seconds here. So at the very end here, we become gigantic. Jewel does what he can to get away. But we're going to do the most satisfying finish to a boss ever. Let's crush him. And that's it. That's Super Bonk. Forgot to say time, but that was time when you crush him. So, I have no idea if I did any good work coherently explaining everything that's going on, but it's a fun game. It might be a lot to grasp just looking at it, but, actually, it's just your basic platformer.
That was a 26:44.
Not bad. Well under estimate, and
it was good.
Pretty close to world record time.
It's a very interesting game.
So yeah, and if you're looking for a game that's not super hard to get into, hey, please run this game. I would love more people to play it. But that's that. Thank you very much for having me. But don't go anywhere. From Sikinar should be coming up next. And I'll see you guys not on here. Bye-bye.